What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Paid, and today I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how Meg Thee Stallion can actually win a rap beef with Nicki Minaj. Again, before this whole thing starts, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all that. It helps me out a ton. But if you haven't been paying attention, if you've been under a rock, the rap game has been set ablaze over the last 40 hours at this point. Recently, Meg Thee Stallion has dropped a new song titled Hiss, and the song is her basically going at everyone who's been talking about her over the last couple of years. All her haters, whatever you want to call them, she's responding to them fully and with her whole chest out. More specifically and more importantly, she's really talking to Nicki Minaj on this track. A little bit of Drake too, but mostly Nicki Minaj. And there's been something going on between them over the last couple of years. This isn't new. They've been sending shots back and forth. This isn't like a surprise that, oh my God, Meg and Nicki don't like each other. This isn't a shocker. But it's just been taken to a new level with this track. And honestly, I have always been of the opinion that none of these women in rap really want to have beef with Nicki Minaj. They do, but they don't. They never want to actually clash heads with her. They want the clout of oh, they're being involved with Nicki Minaj, but they never really want to rap with her. That's always been my thing, including Meg. I've always been one of those people who said, man, they don't want to get in the studio and rap with Nicki. Let's be real. They'll do the little subliminals, but when it's really time to pick up the microphone and get in the studio, they really don't want to do that. But now, I don't know. Meg can actually win this beef. And when I say win this beef, I want to establish exactly what I mean. I mean win the beef in terms of the court of public opinion. If you go around a whole bunch of people and ask, hey, who won the beef between Meek and Drake? 99% of people are going to say Drake. Or if you go and ask, hey, who won the beef between Pusha and Drake? Most people are going to say Pusha. I know the Drake stans are going to, have their knives out for that one. But come on, let's be real. In the song Hiss, the most important and viral bar is the part where Meg pretty much says, this might not be word for word what she says, but she says, these hoes don't be mad at Megan. These hoes mad at Megan's Law. And for the people who are like, what does that even mean? Megan's Law is a federal law that law enforcement has to make information public regarding offenders. Let's just say touchy offenders. They have to make their information public. So obviously, this is a shot at Nicki and Nicki's husband. So this is the bar that's kind of set everything off, set the whole internet on fire. And not only has it set the internet on fire, it's set Nicki Minaj on fire. And this is why I believe that Meg Thee Stallion can actually win this beef, because this is pretty much a perfect storm for Meg. Meg is going at Nicki really hard in a time where a lot of people are just kind of sick of Nicki, just being honest. And her haters are almost as big as her fan base. People who really do not like Nicki Minaj. Now, Nicki Minaj has always had a large contingency of haters. That's never been anything unique to Nicki. She's never not experienced that, but it's really just a lot different now. It's really close to 50-50 at this point. And if we're being real, Nicki right now isn't where she used to be in terms of her lyrics. Her pen isn't as strong as it once was. So lyrically, this is a lot more approachable of a beef for Meg Thee Stallion. I never really saw them two as comparable. I don't think they still are, but it's a little bit more approachable for Meg with Nicki now than it would have been 7 years ago or something like that. And it kind of reminds me of a quote. I think I heard it in wrestling. They said, your arms are just too short to box with God. And that's kind of how I felt about the Meg and Nicki beef. Now, obviously, Nicki's not God. I'm not saying that. I'm not one of those, but I'm just saying I always thought of it as she was just too high of a level to actually be able to fully compete with Meg, because she would just dog walk. But at this point, she's not clear-minded right now. She's possibly not even pure of thought, if you get what I'm saying. I'm not going to get on here and accuse the woman of being on drugs, but you can clearly see that something is not right with Nicki Minaj at the moment. So all of this kind of comes together and makes a perfect storm for Meg to kind of get the one up on her. Meg is also the perfect pick to go up against Nicki because of what she's gone through over the last couple of years. She's been hated on, talked about, all whatever you want to say, so much that people have started to really want to root for her. The whole Tory Lanez trial, media members going at her, other rappers going at her, people want to see Meg succeed. And on the other side of things, you have Nicki Minaj, who has pretty much beefed with every new rapper girl that's come up over the last couple of years, or at least half of them. And people have really started to get a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to Nicki Minaj. They kind of see her as like an insecure bully type of figure. They see her as somebody who's not secure in her spot, even though she should be. She should probably be acting more similarly to like a Beyonce, Rihanna, rather than somebody who's slinging mud with girls who are, 23, 24. Now, that's not to say that she can't respond to these girls, but it's just like people don't really like that. They don't really see her as somebody that they're rooting for anymore. They see her as somebody who is just really insecure and somebody who's really just trying to take it out on all these new girls and wants all these new girls to come in the game and kiss her ass a whole bunch. Like, people just really aren't too high on Nicki Minaj at the moment. And the fallout over this song on social media over the last 24 hours has also shown that, again, realistically, Meg can actually win this feud. Anytime I've been on social media, on Twitter, whatever, if I go on Twitter and I scroll a couple scrolls, I'm going to see a tweet in support of Meg Thee Stallion. Pretty much everything I've seen on social media has been in support of Meg Thee Stallion. The only people who have really defended Nicki on this whole thing has been stan pages on Twitter, which obviously isn't regular people. If you have a stan page on Twitter, you're not a regular person. I'm sorry. But you haven't really seen any regular civilians taking the side of Nicki at the moment. If I go on TikTok, you're going to see a whole bunch of videos of people talking about it from Meg's perspective. They're going to be giving think pieces on the side of Meg. They're going to be talking about Nicki's actions. They're going to be talking about Meg getting in her head. They're going to be making jokes from Meg's perspective. They're going to be talking about how they can't believe how Nicki Minaj is responding on social media. Everything from the people, I should say, on social media has been in the favor of Meg Thee Stallion. Another aspect of the fallout that has played in Meg's favor has been Nicki Minaj's erratic behavior online. Now, Meg is obviously not the first person to diss Nicki Minaj. She's been dissed by pretty much everyone in the game, but Nicki has never really responded like this. Even with something regarding her husband, people have gone at Nicki's husband before. She's never responded like this. Now, Nicki does respond to pretty much anything negative about her. That's not the shocking part. She responds to rappers, media members, TikTokers. She's even responded to me. So that's not the shocking part. It's just how she's responded. Normally, she does a little tweet online, or she'll like some tweets about the person, or maybe she'll respond in a song even if it gets really far. But she has been recently crashing out on social media. Over the last 24 hours, she has been crashing out. She's been spiraling out of control. I've never seen her react like this. I've never seen heat get put on Nicki Minaj and her just scramble like this. Over the last 24 hours since the song came out, she literally went live maybe 15 seconds after the song was out. She's done 3 or 4 live streams. She's also done a little preview of her own diss song. She's put out 20 tweets about the situation. Some of them are full paragraphs, 2 or 3 paragraphs talking about all of Meg's failures in her life and how her accomplishments don't count. And she's even brought up her dead mom, the party situation, the Tory situation, Kelsey. She's reached out to Kelsey and texted Kelsey trying to get some tea on Meg Thee Stallion. She's been going kind of crazy online. And people obviously see this and go, man, that is a hit dog hollering if I've ever seen one. Nicki's just I've never really seen this before from Nicki. I'm genuinely shocked by her response. Again, I've seen Nicki respond pretty harshly to minor stuff, including, again, myself, but I've never seen her completely just spaz out like this online. And again, people have dissed her and she's never reacted like this before. Lotto was pretty much running around for all of 2023 telling anyone who could listen on her song that Nicki was a cokehead. She was saying that pretty much all the year she was, performing, doing this, when she said the bar about Nicki. She ran around the entire year calling Nicki Minaj a cokehead. And she responded to Lotto, but never like this. She never crashed out like this. Cardi B has dissed Nicki on a million different occasions. She's never responded like this. Cardi B has even tried to physically fight Nicki Minaj, physically harm her. She's never responded like this. Remy Ma, a while back, went at Nicki Minaj, went in really, really hard. Nicki's never responded like this. Even Meg herself has gone at Nicki in the past, and Nicki's never responded like this. Now, I don't think any of those people have ever, mentioned her husband in a song. They may have mentioned him on social media, but they never did it in a song. So maybe that's why. But even still, Nicki Minaj has been getting heat from all sides of every corner of the world, including for the stuff with her husband. Like, this isn't anything new. It's not like she just married him 2 weeks ago and now everyone's hating on her for her husband. Like, this isn't anything new. So it's just really mind-boggling to see her react like this. Like, this is really, like, strange, and people just don't really side with it. Like, people are just looking at this like, what's wrong with her? Why is she so perturbed by this diss? It's literally one major bar in the song and like maybe a couple other bars that you could possibly attribute to Nicki. But for the most part, it wasn't like Nicki was just getting bar after bar after bar in the song. Like, Meg said like one really good bar about her and a couple other bars, and she's just crashed out like Soulja Boy. Even if you look at Nicki's response that she previewed on Instagram Live, like her own little diss song, which, mind you, was only those couple of bars and then just like a beat looping, and it just did that over and over again. So the song's clearly not finished. But Nicki said, bad bitch, she like 6 foot, call her Bigfoot. She fell off, told her get up on her good foot.
I said, hey yo, bitch, she like 6 foot, I call her Bigfoot. Bitch, shut up, and get up on your good foot.
And it just really hasn't been received that well. Like, some people like it. Mostly those people are obviously Nicki stans. But for the most part, the average person is like, that's kind of weak. Like, the bars, I mean, like, you rhyme foot with foot about 4 or 5 times. It's cool, I guess. But, like, in comparison to these hoes, don't be mad at Megan, they mad at Megan's Law. They're just really not on the same playing field. Like, one is very obviously much better than the other. So people are looking at this like, that's kind of a weak response. And then if you look at the optics of the response, it's also not in Nicki's favor either. Now, I know this is kind of weird to do because it's rap, you know, it's a rap beef, it's mudslinging, pretty much anything goes pretty much, but it's also 2024. And when you look at the optics of what's being said, Meg Thee Stallion is going at Nicki for having a convicted, consent-offending husband. Nicki went at Meg for being the victim of domestic violence with a deadly weapon. Now, I'm not saying that that's how you should look at it. I don't really care what they're saying back and forth to each other. It just depends on which one is better. But when you look at it optically in 2024, we've got somebody making fun of someone for marrying a convicted consent offender and being on a registry. And then we got somebody making fun of somebody for being a domestic violence victim. Like, again, it just doesn't really look that good for Nicki. And also, Nicki's doing all this on social media, but she hasn't put out a song. Now, you don't have to respond immediately after someone disses you, but when you're on social media this active, when you're typing full paragraphs on Twitter, when you're on Instagram Live and the other live streaming app, I don't know what it's called, but when you're doing all of this activity on social media, it clearly shows you got some time to spare. So why not, instead of typing a paragraph about Meg and how her Grammys don't count and how she flopped on her last album, why don't you just get in the studio? Which is crazy that I'm telling Nicki Minaj to get in the studio, but that's the reality of the situation. When you're crashing out on Twitter and throwing all these tweets up, 20 tweets, some of them are 4 paragraphs long, you're on IG Live, spazzing out, fragment foot, like, you're doing all this stuff. You're doing all this, but not rapping. Like, rap, bruh. Again, you don't have to respond to a diss as soon as somebody disses you, but she clearly has a lot of time on her hands. Now, I'm sure a diss is going to come out soon, but like, bruh, you clearly got a lot of time on your hands, and you're on social media typing paragraphs about Meg lying to Kelsey or something stupid. Like, nobody cares about that, bro. Nobody cares. Again, even the stuff with the dead mom, if you're going to bring up her dead mom, at least do it in a song. Like, I'm not like a fan of that. It's kind of low, but at least do it in a song. Like, at least then it can be put in the realm of just rap beef rather than just you being on Twitter and being mad. And I think Meg is currently doing the right thing by just not responding to all this craziness on social media. Just kind of sitting back and let the narrative themselves. Let the perception of the people form on their own, because a lot of people are seeing this as, okay, Meg and Nicki have had some issues over the last couple years. They've been sending subs back and forth, but Nicki really got hit hard this time. She really got hit hard. Meg went for the throat. She went for the jugular, and she hit. And Nicki is currently scrambling and obsessed with Meg and tweeting out a whole bunch of stuff. Like, that's the perception that's going on right now. And then Nicki, again, hit her low with the whole dead mom thing, which, I mean, it's not that crazy. But also at the same time, you gotta, again, look at the optics of the situation. It's 2024. You can't just look at it on the surface. You gotta look at the optics of the situation. Meg says, you're not mad at me. You mad because your man has to register wherever he lives because he's a convicted consent offender. And Nicki goes, you're tall. You got shot. I got you right here. You've been waiting on this one. Your mom's dead. It's like, okay. Like, it's like, all right, I guess it, like, just doesn't really do much. So I will say this, Meg is in a great position to win this beef with Nicki Minaj, which I never thought those words would actually legitimately come out of my mouth because, I mean, I like Meg, like she got some good music. I've never been like a huge fan, but she got some bangers here and there that I listened to. And I just didn't think this was in her. I never saw this in her. I'm gonna be honest. I never thought that she would be winning a beef with Nicki Minaj in the court of public opinion. Now it's not over. She might have won round one. There's probably gonna be some continuation of this. Obviously, this isn't gonna end today. But in terms of round one, she's clearly won it. And I just really didn't see that coming. I think Meg not responding is a good thing, but also if she's going to put out a song maybe down the line later, a couple months later, a month later, a couple weeks later, whatever, I think she shouldn't really go back at Nicki Minaj. She doesn't really have to go down that road again until Nicki fully responds, like on a song. But she could say something like, I said something to my haters on the song Hiss. You can see how I got them obsessed. They all thinking about me. They can't rest. Something like that. Like something where she basically mentions what happened on Hiss and how Nicki's crashed out since. Not necessarily saying her like, oh my God, look at what Nicki's doing, but just being like, yeah, the haters are in shambles right now. Something like that will greatly help her. But I want to say this at the end of my video. Heed my warning, Meg Thee Stallion, if you're watching. You may be up right now. You may have won round one. I ain't gonna lie. You up. But this is still Nicki Minaj we're talking about. This is still one of the best lyricists of this generation. And if Nicki can clear her head, I don't know what she needs to do. I don't know if she needs to go walk around a park, go do some hot yoga, go exercise, go take a cold shower. I don't know what she needs to do. But if she clears her mind and gets off social media, stops tweeting, stops going live on whatever the hell she's going live on, and she clears her head and gets in the studio and starts rapping, she's coming at your throat with bars. If she can get in that studio, get that little pen and paper out and start writing, she's going to cook up something that's pretty nasty, more likely than not. And you're probably not going to like it. And you know what? It's Nicki Minaj, so it might even be good enough to sway public opinion back on her side, looking at you like, all right, Meg, you started it. She came back with some heat. Now you got to come back with some heat. So I need you to know that you have to be prepared to lyrically go to war because there's no jumping back now. There's no, sending little subtle shots. Oh, we jumping back. We jumping in. There's none of that. You've crossed the line that there's no coming back from. So now it's war. And Nicki Minaj, she don't play. She get like when she's really on her stuff, when she's really 100% up here, she don't play. So I need you, Meg, to be prepared to go to war because it's not over. You've won this round. You might even win the next round because of how messed up and frazzled Nicki is from what you said. But I promise you she's coming back with some hard. So don't get too comfortable. Don't rest on your laurels and think you've won because before you look up, she might have dropped some new fire. She might have even dropped some fire by the time I drop this video and people are going to be looking at you for a response. So don't get too comfortable. But it is crazy to say that at the moment, in the court of public opinion, if the beef ended today, Meg would have won, which is really, really strange. I never really saw this coming. So I think this is very interesting. I think this whole beef will be interesting. I'm looking forward to getting some diss songs. I love diss songs and rap. They're like the best. I love that. I love when people are competing and going bar for bar. I love the game, man. I love the game. What can I say? It's just really, really great when rappers are really competing with each other. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Meg is losing this rap beef in public opinion. I just think that the people really want to root for Meg at this moment. She's never going to outsell Nicki in albums and stuff like that. But I think people really want to root for her. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever you got to say, let me know down below. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe, whatever you got to say down below. I'd love to hear it. Have a good day. I think, also, sorry, I forgot to say, I appreciate it if you made it this far. Like I truly, truly do. If you watched my entire video, I appreciate it. But again, have a good day. Have a blessed day. Be safe. Peace.